Hello everyone, my name is Can Opener Dude, and today I wanted to talk to everyone about the Void language in continuing with my series on the Void's lore. Now, we don't know a whole lot about the language of the Void, but we do have a few very small pieces that we can glean some insight from. The real issue is we don't have a Rosetta Stone, so any insight we do gather comes from cognates, which are basically words that sound similar to the words we're given, and from basically context. So if we look at, say, Rexai, which is the example I'm going to be using, Rexai is composed of two words separated by an apostrophe. And the apostrophe is going to be important, so hold on to that fact. We have Rek and we have Sai. So we know that Rexai is related to the Zersai, which, again, is two words, Zer and Sai, separated by an apostrophe. So since they both have that Sai part in common, we can assume that it means the same thing in both instances. So let's focus on the Rek part of Rexai first. So the Rek part, Rek to me sounds very similar to Rex, which in Rex Regis is the Latin noun for king, which I think fits with Rexai's image as a void queen of the Zersai. So if we take that, we have, now knowing that Rek means royalty, we move on to the Sai part. Now, since that's shared between Rexai and Zersai, we can look at both of them together and try and find commonalities between the two of them. And the only real commonality between the two of them is that they're both sand sharks, basically. So what we can draw from that is that the word Sai means sand shark or predator or something like that. Something to do with being a ravenous creature that goes and kills things by burrowing through the sand. So when we put that together, we've got Rexai, which is royalty of the sand sharks. Now that's all well and good, but what about this apostrophe? I said it was important, so what exactly does it mean? Saying the words together, if it was just Rexai as one word, that would be royalty sand shark, or royal sand shark. But that apostrophe there definitely connotates something. And from looking at the other void names, Cho'Gath, Kha'Zix, Kog'Maw, I think it's a dative or a genitive indicator, which basically means that it means of thee or about thee. So what that means in this case is that Rexai means royalty of the sand sharks, which fits very nicely with what she is, the royalty of the sand sharks. So I think that can give us a really good foundation of what the Void language is based off of. It's a logical language that uses apostrophe to connotate a relationship between the two words. What this also means is that if we're going to use Rexai as an indicator, it means that the first word is the nominative part of the name. It's the object. And the second part is the ablative or the predicate part. Predicatal? Oh yeah, I'm good at linguistics, you can trust me. The predicate part of the name, which basically means what it does, what it is, basically explains what the nominative part does. So from this, we can look at some of the other void names, like Kog'Maw. Now, Cog is obviously, it's a cognate of RCOG, Cog, which is basically a bigger whole, a machine, something that runs. So, a cog of the maw. Now, a maw is commonly referred to as a gaping mouth, something that you throw things into. And like, for instance, in Star Wars, the Sarlacc is referred to as a maw in the desert. So if we take that meaning, then Kog'Maw is a part of the maw. It's a part of the hungering mouth. And that fits what he is, because he is the ever-hungering beast. And from what we understand from Kog'Maw's lore and the Void lore, he eats and dissolves and doesn't digest. So it makes you wonder, maybe he's similar to some other fictitious creatures, for instance Gluttony from Full Metal Alchemist, that instead of just eating everything, he eats it, but it goes into another dimension, a la the Gate of Truth. So in this case, he eats things and sends it to the Void, possibly for other Void creatures to study and gain a greater understanding. Which brings us nicely to Vel'Koz. Vel'Koz is interesting because Vel is actually an antiquated phrase meaning because or rather in Latin. So what that means for us is that Vel is his given name, his name that describes him, and that makes sense because he is seeking knowledge. He is seeking the reasons why things exist. And then cause is obviously from because. So what he is doing is he is searching for knowledge, and what does he find? He finds the reason. He finds the because to the why. So his name is literally a question and answer. And I think that shows that the Void has actual intelligence and is not gated by this sense of hunger that seems to pervade all of the creatures. Because to have this sort of half-ironic sense of what this creature's purpose is, to name him a question and an answer to that question, seems to connotate intelligence to me. So that's really my interpretation of it. It may be completely wrong, but that's what I think. So leave it down in the comments if you have a different interpretation of what these names mean, and I look forward to seeing you all again in my next video. Take care.